There are quite a few cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! That have a cause to need a special ruling. Twin-Headed Behemoth, which I'm fully intending on making a video about, Yu-Gi-Oh! Friendship, which I have already made a video about, and even the entire deck of Domain Monarchs. What if I told you that all those special rulings are nothing compared to this card that your opponent can literally steal from you and walk away? And if you like this content, be sure to subscribe, it really helps me out with the new channel. Let me know what you'd like to see and talk about it in the comments below. So how can a Yu-Gi-Oh! Card allow your opponent to steal legally? That answer is surprisingly simple. It just has to shuffle itself into their deck. Just needs to burrow on in there. Introducing Parasite Paracide, a level 2 Earth monster whose effect reads as follows. Flip. Shuffle this card face up into your opponent's deck. If you draw this card after it was added to your deck by its effect, special summon it in defense position. And if you do, take 1,000 damage. All monsters controlled by the player that summon this card by its effect become insect monsters. Pretty strange, right? Naturally, you'd assume there'd be some ruling in place that wouldn't, allow your opponent to simply concede and walk away with your card, right? That just makes sense. But no, that isn't the case. There is no ruling attached to this card that says your opponent cannot just steal it. Oh, it's hilarious. Now, of course, Konami severely punishes theft, even going so far as to say stealing is a severe, unsporting conduct infraction, and a player may be banned from future tournaments. But as anyone who's gone to a tournament knows, there's not much that can be done, as most events don't even have security cameras to monitor things. But Jada, I can hear you commenting, can't you just keep it in its sleeve when it's moved? Wouldn't that just help you know that that's not their card? No, as that would technically be marking the card in the deck, thus allowing both you and your opponent to know exactly where it's at. Yes, I understand that the card is shuffled in face up. I fully understand. That does not matter for this ruling. There are some very strange, minute ruling changes or just differences in Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, there are qualifications that need to be met, and marking a card is the sleeve. It's not it being face up in the deck, otherwise Convulsion in Nature would be weird. This, that, the other thing. I can talk about other weird rulings. If you have some, please leave them down in the comments. I have a few ideas, but lord, I need more. So, what do? Most people say just don't play it. It's just not worth the risk. Just don't play Parasite Paracide. It's not even good. But if you insist on playing it for whatever reason, you can have Judge Call Turbo. That is the name of the deck. You just Judge Call Turbo. Now, this isn't the only card that has an effect involving giving your opponent one of your cards. There's the card exchange, which reads, both players reveal their hands and add one card from each other's hand to their hand, which is significantly better as it simply adds to their hand. And also, you get a card out of it. It still has the problems we spoke on earlier. It's nothing quite to the tune of literal theft and is a lot more likely to be noticed. By this point, I think the point is clear. These types of cards only cause problems. However, there is one place where they're able to roam free: the anime. Whether it be Grave Robber, a trap which text literally just states steals a card from your opponent's graveyard, that's on the card that's on the kanji. Mimicat, it's showing in GX specifically, not DM. When Pegasus came back in GX, he played Mimicat again, and it changed completely. You just banish 5 cards, and then it does exactly the same thing, steals a card from your opponent's graveyard. Amazoness Chainmaster, which upon destruction allows you to take one of your opponent's monsters from their deck and put it into your hand. Or even Card Exchange, which just switches you and your opponent's hands. No, you don't need the same amount of cards. Yes, this is a +5 for you. And then it's like a -5 for your opponent. It's fucking insane. And then there's my favorite, Cemetery Change, which is Dark Hole, and then you swap graves with your opponent. A deck purely made to mill your opponent. Do this, and then quickly swipe up your grave and leave the venue. That is the best possible Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck ever because it is a sound financial investment. Does your opponent play Starlight rarity cards? Do you want to play Starlight rarity cards? All of these cards have one thing in common. They're from very early in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime, back when Konami just wasn't really finding a problem in these since they knew they would never get printed. So when they did end up printing some of them, it caused major issues. like Exchange is exactly the same, or they had to change it entirely and make Amazon as Chainmaster rip from the hand. It's the same problem as Exchange, but it's not the worse version of that exact same problem, so that's something. Not to mention, even with these cards being printed, there's no official ruling to, like, keep track and make sure your opponent doesn't steal the cards. We have rules that you need to bathe before tournaments, but we don't have rules that protect people's cards from just getting yoinked and stolen at tournaments. It's incredible. These types of cards simply don't work in the TCG. That isn't just because of the theft either. It's because of cards being marked or even destroyed by accident just to resolve an effect. They don't print cards like this anymore for those exact reasons, which is a shame because if your opponent's allowed to steal the game or your Parasite Paracide, the least you can do in return is steal about 4 figures worth of cardboard from them. If you like this video, go on ahead and check out this one. It's talking about how Pendulums, you know, best deck, let's go, was actually kind of trash garbage for a good while.